How we doing, everyone? Welcome back to episode 5 of Life in Racer's Lane. With us today is a special guest, Dr. Jenny Evans. Thank you so much for joining us today, Dr. Evans.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Dr. Evans, I know you have a couple different roles here on campus. So why don't we just start right off? You can introduce yourself, talk about your path to get here to UNOH, especially being the Dean of the College of Business, Occupational Professions, and Health Professions, but then also involved in the Health Informatics Information Technology Program. I'm going to just keep calling that HIT, by the way. That way I can remember it.
But so much easier that
absolutely,
way.
Absolutely, 100%. So give us a little feedback or background of you.
Yeah, so I've been here at the university for the second time around for just a little over a year as program director of the HIT program, the Health Information Technology Program.
There it is.
So when I was here before, I was here for 6 years, got the program up and accredited, and went to go to an informatics program.
Got it.
And then have come back to it then as they were in a process of reaccreditation and needing that then.
Gotcha.
So that's why I kind of came back. And then in the process, the dean role come available and happy days, got to move into it kind of thing.
Right, that's right.
So started as college dean then starting in April. And still playing that part of the program director for the HIT program also, because we're going through reaccreditation then this coming spring. So
awesome.
Lots of fun stuff, lots of, lots of stuff.
Not short of things going on.
Exactly. Lots of projects.
Absolutely.
Kind of thing. Lots of projects.
So other than having me report to you, which is a great thing that you have to deal with every single day, what inspired you to get into, leadership in higher education, either with the HIT program or the dean position? Yeah,
so the real reason why I come into education is that I was in the industry for so long and got tired of hiring people that didn't know what they were doing. So why not go to the source at that point in time, right?
Fix it.
Yes, it's like, so that's why it got me into education then. But I'm also one of those that once I get something and it's set and I get bored, then I'm looking for something new. I need a new challenge kind of thing. So that's why when I was here, I got the program up and accredited, it was going well. We had a good amount of students kind of thing. The next offer kind of come out and new challenge, kind of thing. So moved into that. And then new challenge, of course, coming back then. I was actually playing both roles there for a little while until the dean position came along, and now it's fully focused here, and realizing that the dean is a lot more involved, especially when trying to get some of that classroom time still in.
Yeah.
So we'll
come back to some of those duties because I'm interested. But at the same token, before you came back to UNOH or even jumped into higher ed, tell us a little bit about your background in the industry that you were in before.
Yeah, so one of those little things that not a lot of people know is my traditional college degree was agriculture. So I did
not know that.
See? So I'm a jack of all trades kind of thing. So started out typical bachelor's of science in agronomy and agriculture. Went into that, decided that, I lived on a farm all my life, but I am not a salesperson kind of thing. So I've always been infatuated with the medical field, but I don't do the blood and guts kind of thing.
Gotcha.
I love to read about it, but I don't want to touch it.
Okay.
My kids are they know that Dad better get there quickly kind of a thing. But I was able to get into what was then at the medical records department, which is now the health information management department now.
Got it.
So, and first started getting into that. My boss came to me right away and said, you got to go back to school for this kind of thing. So I went back to school. I had 2 toddlers at the time, did it online. So I have been the traditional college student. I have been the untraditional college student then too. So got my second bachelor's in health information administration then. So I did that while working, moved my way up. I was medical coding supervisor, did coding for a while. Then I went into be a super user as we implemented the EHRs, or the electronic health records.
I was just going to say,
I was going to say all the acronyms in healthcare kind of thing. And then, of course, I got tired of hiring people that didn't know what they were doing kind of thing. So moved into education, and that's where I've been for the past 12, almost, 13, 14 years kind of thing. So
it's always fun to hear, people's perspectives from industry to higher ed, or vice versa, to see how some of those things, you say connect, right? But at least there's a story behind.
It is,
always a story behind great story of, Mr. Legeman and Mr. Pullman too, both of them coming from industry.
Mhm.
We do not have nursing at
No.
UNOH, just FYI. Thank you, Mr. Legeman. But those connections to the real world is really
essential,
but I think selfishly too kind of separates us.
Yeah.
So when we kind of talk about that as a university in general, the experiential, the experience, I think Mr. Legeman and Mr. Pullman even kind of did the tagline, like, turn your passion into a career.
Yes, 100%.
So within the HIT program, what sort of outside of the classroom type experiential things are you guys doing or do you focus on?
Yeah, and that's one of the big things. Faculty hear me say it all the time. I need authentic assessments, kind of thing. So yeah, they're probably, oh Lord, not again.
I'm sorry that just came up in the podcast for all of the users.
Makes me so happy, but but it's all about students. When we were in college the first time around, we probably had a lot of instructors who lectured at us all day long, right? Yep. And there really wasn't a whole lot of hands-on type of things as much as what they,
Yeah, for sure.
When no one wants to do that. No one learns anything. My attention span is very short kind of a thing. So if you can't get me involved, and I'm also one of those, I don't know what I'm doing unless I can get my hands dirty.
Sure.
If you want me to break something, let me break it. I'll figure out where the wrong things are. So, and that's what we're trying to do with the HIT program is how do we get there? It's hard to explain what the HIT program is. It's anything that is dealing with healthcare. Any of the paperwork that goes along with it, per se, can be done by a HIT person then. So we're looking at data analysis. We're looking at, we're also the coding, the billing, those kind of things of connecting the dots. How do we get the reimbursement to make sure that the doors stay open, the lights stay on. All of those things come under our umbrella then from a HIT standpoint then. So
those are all viable type things.
Yeah, and doesn't have to touch a patient kind of thing. We might have to talk to them every so often, but for the most part, I can read all the fun stuff about it,
Absolutely.
I've got that nice t-shirt that says, keep talking, I'm diagnosing you.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Perfect. So if there's any students out there listening or prospective students thinking about this program, what separates ours, from others that exist? Do other universities have this program, or what are we trying to do to separate ourselves from everybody else?
So that's a great question because there are quite a few associate programs here in Ohio, but also nationwide that are especially specialized accreditation that goes along with it. But we are really focused on getting them as much hands-on experience. I have many of my advisory board members that are local, even not local, who have some projects that they've been trying to get to, but never have the chance. So we're trying to turn that into classroom activities. We've got a couple organizations that says, bring your class to us. Have the class at their, at the organization. So it's hard when a lot of our students are online, but a lot of our students have already got into the field, but need the credentials to go along with it too. So, but as much as hands-on is what we're trying to do and show them that there's all these different things, the little caveats at what they can do that's related to health information that most people don't even know is out there.
Yeah, sure. So it's a 2-year program?
It is a 2-year program. Yep.
Okay. And able to be done in those 2 years pretty seamlessly?
Pretty much. Most of our students are getting through it in about 18 months. Okay. Because we do have that rotation that sets there. It also sets them up right perfectly to go into the healthcare administration program then. So
I was just going to ask that.
2+2. So I got you on that.
So to finish in 2 years, that's what the majority of them are doing?
Yep. So, and it really works really well with it because of the analysis piece of the HIT, as well as the IT piece, the technology that goes along with it. It really works into that administration role because administrators are looking at what are the trends of everything, how do we make sure that we have the right people staffing the right floors, all of these things go into that to make those decisions then. So
awesome. And I would go out on a limb and say most people that think of, working at a hospital, they immediately go to nursing or doctors, but this is a whole.
Oh, it's a whole, everybody in the background kind of thing. So, and that's what we always laugh at the hospital was everybody thinks of your nurses and your doctors kind of thing, your therapists or whatever kind of a thing. But everybody has to be supported by the HIM people, because if you don't have the right documentation, we don't get paid. The lights don't stay on, you don't have a job kind of thing. So
pretty important to everybody.
It is.
Absolutely.
So it's always, we're usually the last ones brought to the table, but should it be the first ones, so
Definitely
trying to change that, that conversation then.
Sure. So transition more to the College of Business, Occupational Professions and Health Professions in the dean position. So I think, Mr. Legeman and some of the, Mr. Varick's even brought this up about what separates, what we do here at UNOH as a whole, not so much the HIT program, but just in general. What do you think that we do differently that makes people want to be more interested?
Yeah, and great. We kind of touched on it earlier, that experiential learning.
Absolutely.
And having most of our instructors have come from industry.
Yeah.
Most of our instructors, bearing a few of you, that don't, maybe some special ones out there kind of thing. But are you under the bus right away, right?
Yeah, seriously.
But for most of the part, everyone is from the technical industry that they're teaching in then at this point. So, we can talk the talk because we've lived it. Sure. We've done it. We're still doing it possibly. We're not those career lecturers as a lot of bigger institutions are. We are showing them that, if they want to say as sports marketing, you can actually go and intern with a pros team, get to go spend time with the Super Bowl, kind of thing,
That's right.
But then all the way through. So accounting they're doing experiences with accounting firms, all of those things. I think that's what sets us apart here, is that we really do highlight that experience piece of it. You guys have heard me say it before, is most of our industry is looking for 3 to 5 years of experience, but right out of high school, my entry level, but I need you to have 3 to 5 years of experience.
Which is always like the most ironic thing ever.
You can't do, entry level at 3 to 5 years. That's, that's tech one, whatever.
Absolutely.
But if we can change that conversation here on campus that says, guess what? Now we could have technically 4 years of experience because they've been exposed to all of these things in those authentic assessment types of things. We're preparing them, so they do have that experience that they can come in and say, yes, I've got
absolutely
a couple years of experience based on here are the things that I've done then.
Yeah.
So
I appreciate the plug, by the way. Mr. Pullman basically forgot that I existed, but our sports marketing management program, I feel confident that is, I present it that way. So hopefully that is the way, but hands-on experience, tell me what you've done.
Yep.
Books are great. They're obviously necessary, but most of the time in the real world, that's a secondary recommended type thing where I want to know more about if I hire you, are you able to do these things that I have to be done? So,
and industry's looking at it saying, hey, your graduates should be coming out telling us about all the bells and whistles.
Absolutely.
I don't want to hear about what happened 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I want to know what's happening 5 years from now.
Yeah, exactly.
So how are we better setting ourselves up? And if we're not preparing them here for that, then we're not doing, anybody justice at that point. So
yeah, absolutely. Kind of staying in that realm, as far as when you've been here before, you went to someplace else, then you came back. In that same what's different about us, but what kind of students are you seeing thriving here the most?
Yeah, it's those students that really want that hands-on, and what we're seeing too is students coming through that want those certifications or those additional pieces because they see the good. We're not based on just our reputation, so a lot of schools are like, oh, we're only recruiting because, we've got such a good reputation. Well, I want to show results, and now starting to have the conversations with community members, big companies saying, hey, I want those students because they've got that, and that's really changing that narrative. And the community is saying, hey, we want them, and how soon can you have us, those students or graduates or whatever at that point? So
and to me, making those connections between when students are about to leave, but then also outside, who wants to come in and kind of learn more about us.
Yep.
Focusing on that, I think, I do know should be an emphasis just because of the connections that you can build to then help them. Even not so much, I bring this up to my freshmen all the time. Yeah, you're still trying to figure all this stuff out, but like, why are you here?
Yeah.
And it can't be because of all these superficial things that really aren't going to matter much in probably 3, 4, 5 years.
Yep. Think about what you're paying for, at this point in time. So what do you want to do? Sometimes I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up, kind of a thing. So, if you look at my menagerie of stuff, So, but that's what, so many of them are wanting to, and they want to be able to move right into a role,
Absolutely.
and career tech, is really better preparing our students coming into those on, okay, now take it to that next step. And, the career tech is great if you're wanting to enter right into the workforce. But now if you want to move up in that workforce, you better come here, and here's how we're going to set you up to really improve upon that. Then.
Yeah.
So,
and it has to be a conversation. I feel like more parents are more interested in those sort of things. I know, my daughter is close to starting this. So that's going to definitely be part of the conversation that somebody's having of like, do you connect outside of the classroom?
Yeah.
So,
my daughter we were just having that this weekend, because she's at
they love it when you talk. Is that right? Or is it just
that way?
They love when you start bringing those things up.
Yes, of course. we were just talking because all of a sudden we were at the theater thing this weekend, and her grandmother said, "Oh, I heard Miranda's decided she's going to finish it a year early." Oh, okay.
Really?
So I was like, well, last I heard she was going to double major and all this, So we had this conversation. She's like, no, I decided all I need is the degree, So she's like, I've already got the certifications. Why spend another year if I don't have to? I'm incurring all that debt then. Why? So I was like, good call. This is you who's going to pay for it,
I mean, the facts that support a decision.
Yep.
I'm usually okay with those things as well.
Yep. That's the guy I was like, well, yeah, 100%, how do you want to do it?
So speaking of support when students are here, what are things that UNOH offers to basically, make sure whatever students have, academically speaking, personal speaking, we have students from all over the globe, which to me is my favorite aspect of teaching here and being a part of this university. What support things, programs do we offer to make sure everyone's kind of taken care of?
Yeah, I love that. The one of the big things that we have here is that we're a smaller group, and that a lot of us, faculty, staff, everybody, students get to connect with us, and they know who we are, and that if they're comfortable they're able to come to us, talk to us. But we have a student success a department that is also available to them to reach out if they're struggling with grades, and sometimes it's just having that other person that can reach out to them and, maybe look at it from a different angle, that supports both faculty as well as students and too. So, but we've got mental health services and even athletic services, intramurals, and the athletic complex. There's so many things. Even if you want a small, quiet area, the quiet rooms in the library or the little nooks in the bookstore. They've got nice little comfortable chairs in the back corner. If you don't know about that yet, So, but I had a meeting there one afternoon, so it was wonderful. So.
Sounds good.
But, but there's lots of resources here on campus, lots of student activities that can be involved in, every so often we have the therapy dogs that come in,
That's right.
Pet a dog right before finals. This would be wonderful, cuddle, or whatever. So, but yeah, lots of resources. And the small town or the small family-like style feeling that if I can't help you, I know somebody who can.
Sure, absolutely.
And that everybody here is quite willing to reach out to somebody else to help you.
Yeah,
and so,
a question I always address and bring up right away for a prospective student or at an open house or something, we are not big. Some people that doesn't work out so well, but I feel like for the vast majority, it's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to a small university. I probably wouldn't have done as well. I'm not saying I really did that well, but as well as I did if it was a large place that I would have got lost.
Yep. You're not just a number here.
No, absolutely.
So, and more than likely, even if you're in one program, a lot of people are going to know who you are, kind of thing. So, and you can get involved.
It's always a joke because, our offices are upstairs on the third floor. And when students are coming around looking, someone walking by my office looking for someone else, I already know who they are. They can shout their name or something like that. And we're kind of like, what?
Who is that?
Don't worry, we know.
Yeah.
Which I think is a good thing just because, from my perspective as a parent and, as a coach, whatever the case may be, if there's someone else willing to help.
Yeah.
It's never a bad thing.
Yeah. And I even love it as I've transitioned into the dean role that I still have students that are stopping by, and that they're not intimidated by a role change, or now it's a different kind of a role where maybe I wouldn't have been exposed to them had I not been in this role that I'm in, but, getting involved in different student organizations and being seen, and they're like, oh, you're here, exactly. It's awesome, kind of thing.
I love to see the reaction when faculty members, go to a sporting event.
Yes.
It's as if it's like Christmas morning and your little kids are opening like the most small little thing. And they're so like, oh my gosh.
Well, even wearing their gear kind of a thing.
That's what I was just going to say.
I was like, I was walking across campus the one day and I was wearing the men's basketball shirt kind of thing. And one of the guys was like, you're repping us, so I'm like, yes, 100%.
But that matters though.
It does.
Because no one's going to just get pushed aside.
Yeah, no.
It's very difficult to get lost, here because there's enough people to kind of keep track of you and do that sort of thing. Unless you're the women's golf coach and then I wear a different team's.
That's true.
And they look at me like, why are you wearing a softball shirt? I'm like, well, I teach everybody.
I support everybody, right. Okay?
So if you have a prospective student that comes to you and says, I think I want to come to UNOH, what's like your next spiel after that?
Yeah, I'm always looking at saying, okay, so why are you wanting to come here? What is your end goal? What do you want to be when you grow up? Kind of a thing, or what are you thinking about? Because then the nice thing about being in the role now is that I don't have to only focus on my program. I get to focus on everybody's program. Right. So it's so fun to talk to them and say, okay, and I'm one of those too, that if I'm talking to a student and there's nothing here that I'm not trying to talk them into to being here. I don't want that because I don't want that to be a negative thing at the end of it. So if we don't have anything that supports it, but here's something else that could, it's your option then, but I would love to be able to get you in the right program at the right time, so.
A number of success stories that I've heard in my 7-8 years of being here multiple times where students may be thinking of changing a program or thinking about completely doing something that maybe we don't even offer, but yet still getting help in that process. And I've done it a number of times and, I don't like doing it at the end of the day because then they're leaving. But at the same token, if they're doing what's best for them, I'd rather have them be happy that way than miserable staying here.
Well, and you got to think is these students leaving are still marketing for us, in some way, shape or form. So if we do good on them, they're going to do good on us, but if we kind of screw them over in the process kind of thing, then nothing worse than having that negative that's out there. We can easily do those. So those times when somebody says we have nursing and we don't,
not you, Tom.
No, I'm not mentioning any names anymore kind of thing. But, we do have a patient care versus a non-patient care in healthcare.
Sure.
So if it is nursing that you're kind of thinking about, but you're on the fence, let's do a medical assisting that has that patient care, that does the vitals, that does all those other things, and find out if that is something that you want to pursue. It doesn't transfer right into it, but it is something that gets you a better idea if this is something you're on the fence on,
absolutely.
So, and we can do that with so many of the programs here is, get you exposed. And even if you're in the business side or, anywhere, you've got the same foundation that you could easily change programs and put you into the right place. I know as I was a freshman in college, the first time around, I was like, somebody just tell me where to go, what to do kind of a thing. But then, but now we've got so many opportunities and electives that says, okay, you can be business, but you can focus on project management or you can marketing or ag business or whatever that looks like, because we can modify that then, So
I love to say we're agile.
We are very much.
I'm not agile.
We got to work on that.
I got to work on my agility, but I think as a whole being who we're built upon, what we're built upon, and who we have on staff, we have the ability to kind of make things work, if you will.
What are we trying to accomplish? In the end, we're here for the student's success. And if they're not successful, there's no reason for us,
Absolutely.
Kind of thing. So I always say students are the ones that are giving us a paycheck at the end. So, why aren't we, to do whatever is needed for them?
No, I agree. So, anything cool coming into the pipeline here is regarding the College of Business or the the HIP program?
Health Information Technology.
Anything new that's exciting or coming up that?
Yeah, one of the big things with the HIP program is we're going to more of a competency-based education kind of model. So everything that our students are going to be exposed to, guest speakers early, doing more field experience and job shadowing to see all the different opportunities. And our standards are changing to support that. Then.
Oh, nice.
So it could be also the reason why some of my other initiatives are kind of being rolled out on, those authentic assessment things, but
they're fun.
Yeah. So, but it's really putting into, you guys will start seeing it. It does make sense eventually kind of thing. So, but if we step back and say, okay, I've been doing this for 20 years the same way, things have changed so much, so we're not preparing anybody if we're staying at the status quo. If we're not challenging things, we're not stepping outside the box. We're not doing anybody any services then at that point. So and I think faculty is starting to embrace it. Might have been some resistance, might have been some kicking and screaming, but hey, everybody laughs and loves when I say we're doing assessment today, so. But starting to see that change, that mental, that narrative that changes that says, okay, what are we doing to better prepare our students to enter the workforce?
Absolutely.
So that's what we're looking for.
To me, that's the number one goal of higher ed.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It might not be the main reason why you got here.
Mm-hmm. Nope.
But it's got to transition to the reason why you're here.
Yep. Exactly.
It's a concept that I bring up, and I know everyone else, and you listen to the other speakers, the other individuals that were on the episodes. The reoccurring theme over and over again is the kind of do so that you can do later.
Yeah.
Which I think is important.
Yeah. We have so many opportunities on campus, whether it's a required internship or a not required, but the more experience you can get, the more hands-on you can be, build your network. You never know who that guest speaker is going to be that might have remembered you in a class 100%. That may not have a job for you, but could refer you to somebody else, So, I don't know how many of my jobs I've gotten because of who I knew, not based on, okay, it might have been to get me in the door, kind of thing. But, it's all about building your network and figuring out how do I get involved in these things. So, highly recommend a student coming on campus, get involved in everything.
I remember my dad way back when, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yes.
Of course, I was like, oh my God, seriously, shut up.
Whatever.
But it couldn't be more true.
Oh my gosh, 100%. It is.
You can take it the next step of who knows you that can refer you. I mean, it's a trickle down effect, but.
I don't know how many times I've heard, hey, I'm not hiring, but I know somebody who is,
that's right.
And I think you would be perfect for this, kind of thing. So making those connections, you never know who's going to be in the room, and could, put you up into a good, good position then. So.
Well, that's fantastic. I feel confident. There's a lot of great things going on.
Yeah.
Here on campus, specifically with our programs, but the HIT program, sports marketing and management program.
Do we have one of those?
I think there is one.
Okay. I think,
all the programs I think are in a great direction with a lot of great leadership, including, coming from you. So it's been a pleasure the last, how many months have you been the dean?
So since April. So what? 6, 7 months, 7 months?
6, 7.
6, 7. There it was.
Stop.
Yes.
That was so organic too. But I feel confident that we're going in the right direction.
I do too.
And I feel confident most individuals, I can't say for all because I don't interact, but most of us feel confident with your leadership to be able to do some really cool things here.
I do appreciate that. So
thank you.
I can't do it without you guys. So, always great to hear it and see it then. So thank you.
Well, thank you guys. That wraps up the first Rule of 5 with our 5th episode with Dr. Jenny Evans. Braden and I will be joining next with the next episode to kind of give another overview of the direction that we're going to go with this for the year of 2026. Holy cow.
It's just around the corner.
Why does that sound so bad?
Oh,
That sounds, Christmas. Speaking of Christmas, Merry Christmas.
And Happy New Year.
That's right. But we'll be back in 2026 to kind of overview what's happening next year with UNOH Racers, Life in the Racers Lane podcast. So we're excited about that. And again, thank you so much for spending some time with us.
Thank you.
Absolutely. See you guys.
Thanks.